morning, guys. We're here at Camp ASCCA. I've got a good group with me. A lot of you campers might recognize our spot right now. We're at the back 40 and the demonstration farm area. And my name is Tom. I'm the former camp director and also a member of Lake Watch of Lake Martin. And I'm joined today by Mark over here, and John, who's the outdoor education director at camp, and Heather, who's the aquatics director. And what we're going to do today is something a little different that you might not have seen at Camp ASCCA before. We are going to take a short walk through the woods, about a quarter of a mile, maybe a couple of 100 yards, and we're going to go to a really neat little stream that's on our Camp ASCCA property. And we're going to try to get in the stream and do a program that we call Living Streams. And what we're going to do is try to get our feet wet and go in the stream and explore and see what all we can find in the stream, and hopefully determine what kind of water quality we have in the stream. So we're going to do that. This will be an area that most of you campers and visitors also have not been to. So hope you'll have a good time, and we'll go see what we can find. So let's head that way. As you can see, we've arrived at our destination. We've finally hit the little stream that flows through Camp ASCCA. And as you look at it, you can see it's just a beautiful little stream, a spring-fed stream that goes through camp. We have two of them on camp, and this is all part of a mini watershed of the Tallapoosa River Basin. And the Tallapoosa River Basin is actually a huge area in Alabama where the Tallapoosa River flows and drains to. As you know, a watershed is an area where water flows to a common point. And in this case, for Camp ASCCA, our water flows and goes into Lake Martin, which is about 100 yards to our right down here. But the Tallapoosa River Basin, this is a large area. There's 10 major river basins in Alabama. The Tallapoosa is about 4,000 square miles, and our basin starts at about 40 miles west of Atlanta, and about 15% of it is in Georgia, and the rest of it's in Alabama, and flows down. And of course, all those little rivers and streams and tributaries that flow into it make up our watershed area. And eventually, all the Tallapoosa streams that flow continue on and flow into the Tallapoosa River through Lake Martin, and then eventually join up with the Coosa River, and that forms a completely different watershed. The Coosa and the Tallapoosa together form the Alabama watershed. And like I said, there are 10 major watersheds in Alabama. At Camp ASCCA, we really have like two major watersheds, or sort of two mini watersheds. If you're a camper and you've come down the gate before, you know that our property goes straight down the hill and pretty much bisects our land right in two. And to the right, all the water that flows and the rain that like we got last night would typically flow to the right and flow into this little stream right here that flows into Camp ASCCA. And then to the left, as the water flows and goes off the side of the hillside, it pretty much flows into a little creek that feeds the pond at Camp ASCCA. And then in turn, it goes out the drain of the pond and goes into Lake Martin as well. And it's really important as far as the watershed, we want to make sure we have good clean water, because that's where we do a lot of our activities. Not only upstream, but downstream. Here at camp, we like nice clean water to go boat riding on, canoeing, we do fishing, tubing, all those type of activities that we do. We want to make sure we have clean water so that we can enjoy it. And a lot of people eat the fish as well. So we want to make sure we have clean water so that the fish will be healthy for us to eat. And like I said, that watershed goes all the way to Mobile Bay. All 10 basins in Alabama flow into Mobile Bay into the Gulf of Mexico. So that's our watershed area. Today what we're going to do, and we'll take this to John. The name of our program is called Living Streams. And the reason it's called Living Streams, one, it was designated that by one of our Lake Watch board members. Lake Watch is an organization that ensures that the water of Lake Martin is clean. But a couple of our founding members, Dick Bronson and Mary Ann Bronson, were the founders of Lake Watch. To me, Living Streams means that the water that we're going to go into is just full of life. We're going to find all kinds of bugs and insects and amphibians, hopefully, in the stream. And so many things depend on the living streams for life. Not only the things that live in the water, but also things outside the water. Whether it's the deer that come down to drink water, or the raccoons, or the possums, or the armadillos, or the birds that come. A lot of things are dependent on that. And the things that we find are very dependent on the food chain. A lot of the things that hopefully we will find in the creek today are very important to the food chain. A lot of them will be small insects and bugs, and eventually they'll turn into flies that'll be there for the birds and the fish and the other things to eat. So that's what the Living Streams program is. So let's take a look at some of the things that we're looking for today. Okay, we learned about Watershed. We're going to learn just a few more words before we get in the water. And what we're looking for today in the Living Streams, the things that we find will hopefully help us determine if the water is clear or if the water is clean and it's healthy. We're going to sort of do a bioassessment of the water. So the things that we are looking for are called macroinvertebrates. And of course, we all know what micro means. Micro means very, very small, like a microscope that we can't see with the eye. So macro is things that we can see with the naked eye. So the things we're looking for today we'll be able to see just looking at it. And then we're also looking for invertebrates. We all know what vertebrates are. Those are animals with backbones, that have a backbone. Well, the things we're not looking for, or the things we are looking for, are invertebrates, things without a backbone. And some scientists and biologists and other people have done a lot of work and studied of the invertebrates that we have in the water here. And a lot of these are found worldwide as well, and all across the world in different lakes and streams and rivers. But they grouped them into 3 groups. In group 1, you'll see, and our little poster here reads, these organisms are generally pollution intolerant. Their dominance generally signifies excellent or good water quality. So what we're hoping to find is a lot of these macroinvertebrates that are in group 1. And those are things like the riffle beetle and the stonefly, mayfly, the caddisfly, and then of course the snail. There's a couple of different snails that we might find. There's a right-hand pouch snail that opens to the right, and there's one that opens to the left. And the one we're hoping to find more of is the right-hand pouch snail. And these are very, very intolerant of any kind of pollution at all. So if there's pollution in the water of any kind, we probably won't find a lot of these. And then the group 2 macroinvertebrates that we're looking for exist in a wide range of different water quality conditions. And a lot of these, some of these are very common, like the crayfish. We've all been in creeks and stuff and found crayfish. The crane flies, the dragonflies that we see a lot of on the lakes and the rivers throughout the summer. And then there's black flies, and then the hellgrammite. Hopefully we'll find a hellgrammite. That's sort of like the T-Rex of the macroinvertebrates, because it's really a voracious eater of all the other things that are in the water. So hopefully we'll find some of those. And then group 3, these organisms are generally tolerant of pollution. Their dominance usually signifies fair or poor water quality. It's okay if we find some of these, but if that's about all we found, and that's mostly what we found, that would indicate that we've got some kind of pollution problem in our water that's flowing through our stream and consequently into the lake. So hopefully we won't find a lot of those. I know Colonel Bronson always says, well, if I find a left-hand pouch snail, I'll give anybody $100 if I find one. And fortunately, we've never found one in the stream right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to take just a minute, and then we're going to go into the stream, and we're going to try to scoop up some of these and bring them back out on the deck here and look at them and see if we can identify them and try to identify if our water is indeed good water quality or not. So let's take just a minute to do that. At our stream, and we've learned about what we're looking for. So now what we need to do is divide up into a couple of groups, 2 or 3 groups, and go in and see what we can find in the water. So what we'll do, we're going to take our net right here, and we've also got some smaller nets, but the macroinvertebrates typically like to hide under the rocks, and they like to be in the leaves in that area. They eat leaves. It's also a home for them. And they'll eat bacteria and algae that grows. So what we're going to do is find where the water's sort of swiftly moving. We're going to put our net right down in the bottom, and then somebody will go up above there, and then we'll sort of turn up the bottom and loosen the leaves so that all the stuff will flow right into our net. Okay? And one thing you can do is we'll pick up the rocks and look under them. A lot of times they'll be on the bottom of rocks. And particularly the caddisflies, they'll make their homes and start them right on the bottom of the stones. So we'll do that, loosen it up, and let it flow in. One thing we want to be real particular to do, because this is their home, is we pick up rocks, we'll look at it and disturb it, and then we'll put the rock right back where we found it. If we were to take those rocks and just pick them up and throw them on the side of the stream bed, then we're going to have erosion problems because all we'll have is a sandy base and the water will flow down and just flow sand down. And that sort of smothers them and is not a good home for them. So we'll divide up into 2 groups, do that. Just like we said, we'll use a smaller net, so you can do that by singles, and then we'll work in teams to see what we can find. And then when we finish, we'll bring them back and put them on our drop nets on the ground, dump it out, and we'll identify what we found. See a few things. Oh, there's some. All right, y'all gonna have to help me catch some of these.
Something. So is there anything that we might find that we don't want to touch with our hand?
The only thing you don't want to watch is the crawfish. You know, it'll get you a little bit. You know, the one that tall, small, is not gonna hurt you. And then the Helgramite. If you look at the picture of him in group, what did you say, group 1 or 2? Group 2. You can see he's got some little features on him.
Okay.
So we'll watch out. So y'all go ahead and we'll go through real slow, and a lot of times they're hidden. See, there's a little bitty one in there. Some of them are real tiny. Caught a nice spark. Here's another one.
What a good find. Look at our technique a little different. There's an ant.
Don't think he's one of our macroinvertebrates. So we're not finding a lot, but there's definitely some in there.
There's some up there. We found a snail shell.
Yeah, that's something right there. I'm not sure what that is. But sometimes you find little animals that get in there from
looks like that one opens
from the land.
To the right.
If you hold the point up towards you, and then he sees out to your right, so that's a right-hand pouch snail. Good.
Looks like we're not getting $100 now.
No 100 yet.
This is left.
Now, if you hold the point up towards you, right in front of you, and then see what side it opens on, to your right. So that's a right-hand pouch snail too.
Hopefully we don't find any of those. So that would mean our water is polluted.
Oh, look at there. Right there.
There's one. What's that right there? There we go. Good find there. Let's see what he looks like.
Can you identify him?
Ah, I know what that is. Look in there and see.
You think he matches any of these?
He's in the smaller stage. Could be a midge.
Yeah.
Are the larvas, the caddisfly larvas, are they always in the...
There's something.
Yeah, these are the larva stage.
Okay.
That's a what?
This is a spider.
That might be a,
What?
what I was looking at that he found might be a
It's a
crane fly.
spider.
Okay.
The spider.
All right, we'll leave spiders. There's something moving in there.
Oh, look at that.
Ah, there we go.
God.
Wow.
Nice.
Good boy.
All right, see if y'all can, I know what he is, for sure.
You gonna pick him up, Eli?
See if you can identify him, Eli, on there and see.
Look on the paperwork.
Got a little salamander there.
He does look
Right
similar.
there, right here.
There we
Yeah.
go. That's a big crane fly. Have you ever been in the summertime at your house? I know you have out here. And you're getting ready to go in your back door or front door, and all of a sudden there's a huge mosquito trying to get in the house. It's like really big. That's like a big mosquito. That's actually a crane fly right here. And a lot of people, they call them mosquito hawks because they look like a mosquito.
Crawfish. Crawfish.
It's really alive.
Pick it on up, Jeff.
But the crane flies, they will stay in the water for about 2 years before they come out.
Oh, really? And then they come out by the
Yeah.
million.
They'll come out, they'll come out, particularly the stoneflies and mayflies.
I got it.
And they tend to hatch all at the same time.
I got one.
Nice.
I haven't seen any dragonflies yet. Hopefully we'll find one of them. I'm surprised we haven't found the caddisfly house. I bet you we'll find one.
in that bucket.
We'll look real close and then we'll dump this and we'll go do us another. We'll go a little further upstream and see what we can find.
Oh, there's something.
There's something.
A lot of them are hidden right on the leaves. Oh, there we go.
Is that the dragonfly?
That's the, looks like the, let's see, is that the Helgramite? It is.
Oh.
See the little features on him, the Helgramite?
This one?
there? Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Now, a lot of these, particularly fishermen,
That one
they love Helgramites. They're a great fishing bait, and a lot of times you'll see soft baits at the store that are Helgramites.
That one looks like
And
this
then
one.
for people that fly fish, you see a lot of stonefly and mayfly things. But the Helgramite turns into a Dobson fly. And what he will do, he will crawl out. After 2 or 3 years, he'll crawl out on the land. And then he'll actually make a cocoon. And then he'll turn into a Dobson fly during the adult stage.
I'm getting this one.
We'll have to watch the Helgramite because he might go in there and try to eat some of the others. They're pretty good eaters of other stuff.
There it is. Got him.
Some good finds there.
I wonder what this is.
Bound to be something in there if all that stuff. You got a lot of sand in there.
Oh, there we go. Look at there.
Got a lot of stone flies, it looks like.
Hey, I got that one.
All right.
What is that? What is
Oh, I
that?
think looks like a dragonfly.
Well, I got
Ooh,
that
there's
one.
something moving.
I got that one because it came from right here.
Let's see the dragonfly. Somebody's got good.
That's something with pinky.
There's another snail. Somebody's got good fingers. You could open up his jaw. It's hard to do. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to get it open or not. Take some stuff. We'll try him later. Maybe we'll find a bigger one here. Looks good because we're finding a lot of stoneflies. So that means our water quality is pretty good. I think the time of year just might make a difference in some of them that we're finding.
I can't identify any of them, man. I don't know.
What is that?
That's the same one.
Same ones there. A lot of stoneflies.
You want to get back down there or you're
It's now
okay?
bright.
On my face.
Lots and lots of stoneflies.
Didn't we have more than that?
Definitely.
Or is it on the...
Oh, there we
this
go.
one?
It's another.
Now the crane fly.
Another crane
It's
fly.
a huge one.
Gonna go in there. He's gonna go nuts.
It's fat.
Somebody's got to find me a caddisfly house. We need to see one of those.
And
It'll be hard to identify because it'll just look like a little rock or a little piece of wood.
There's something coming out of it. Oh, there's a lot of these bad boys. This thing's with the... Lots of these.
All right, here you go. This was made out of wood. And I believe that's a little caddisfly house. You see it?
That's what I found, but I did not know what it was.
Yeah, right through there. Now he's probably in there. Gonna stick his head out. And you'll notice on my shirt, we've got the caddisfly. And Lake Watch did that because these are more prominent around the world than any other of the macroinvertebrates. And believe it or not, there's over 14,000 species of caddisfly out of 45 different families. And what he'll do, when he's very tiny, he'll make a little house. And he creates a silk out of his mouth. And he'll grab either wood like this or maybe pebbles like the sand pebbles, and he'll make a house. And then when he gets bigger, he'll come back and add on to his house, and that's so predators won't get him. And he'll keep doing that all the way through adulthood. Eventually, or some people I've read that will make jewelry out of them. They'll get a caddisfly and get them out of their house, and then they'll get little specks of gold, like flour gold and stuff, and put it in the water with them. And then they'll get that and they'll make a little house out of the pebbles, out of gold, and they'll sell it as jewelry. Okay, we're going to try to assess whether our stream is healthy or not, so you guys are going to have to help me as we're looking on here. I don't think we found a riffle beetle. Did we find any stoneflies?
Yeah, we found a lot of
We
those.
found a ton of stoneflies that had the two little tails on it. Now, what kind of snails did we find? Right hand or left hand?
Just the right hand.
Just the right hand. Nobody gets $100 today. Then the mayflies, we didn't find any of them, and I think that has more to do with the time of year. Okay, so those are what we find in group one. We found stonefly, caddisfly. We did find the little caddisfly house, just one. That was made out of the wood rather than the stone, which is just as good. Stonefly, caddisfly, snail. So we found 3 in group one, didn't we? How about group 2? What all did we find?
What didn't we
We
find?
found the fat crane flies, the mosquito hawk. We found one dragonfly. He was a little small, so we wanted to try to open his jaw. He's got a really big hinged jaw. We couldn't get it open because he was sort of small. We found a crayfish. I think we found a sow bug that was so small it was too small to pick up. I'm not sure about that. And then we found the hillgrammite, didn't we? So we got what did we get, 4 of those? Cranefly, dragonfly, crayfish, sow bug, 5 of them, I guess, out of group 2. So that's good. They exist in a wide range of water quality conditions. And then in group 3, we didn't find, I think I saw one aquatic worm, a few little aquatic worms, which is fine because they're natural in the streams just like any other of the macroinvertebrates. No left-hand pouch snails. I'm not sure about the midge. I saw one that I thought might have been a midge, but I'm not real good on identifying those as well. So we might have found a midge, I'm not sure. So what do you guys think? Do you think we've got a healthy stream?
Looks like it.
Okay, so we got good water quality. Do you think our water, since we got such good water quality, do you think it'd be okay just to get us a cup and go drink a little bit? What do you think?
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do that. You know why? Because there's a lot of microorganisms and bacteria that we can't see. That will give us E. coli and make us really sick, or Giardia. And those come from like poop of animals like raccoons or deer or other animals that, they don't have a restroom. They go anywhere they're at. So it could be in the water. So if we were to drink that water, there's a good chance we might get sick. We might not, but we might. And what are some of the things that we've got a good stream? What are some of the things that would probably keep our water from being clean? What types of pollution might keep us from being clean water? Anything you can think of?
Erosion?
Erosion would be a big one. Right now, though, we have buffers around all our streams. And Camp actually, when the storms, we had to cut some of our trees along here. So they did a buffer zone. So they didn't cut right down to the creek. So that's real important. If it was all dirt along the sides, then we're probably going to big rain. A little rain like we had last night is going to flow all that erosion into the creek. And if you got a creek that's got all sand on it, they wouldn't survive in that. They just smother them. There's nothing for them to live in, or any kind of home or leaves to eat. So all sand would be a detriment to them. The other thing that would do if you cut all the trees down is most of these are real sensitive to sunlight. So it's not good, and the water temperature sort of needs to be cool. So if all the trees were gone, and here in Alabama we get that hot sun baking down on the water, our water temperature would rise a lot, and then they probably wouldn't survive in that. So a lot of things we have to deal with around here, particularly for here, and then like on the lake, is all the development. We have a lot of people and a lot of condos being built.
Yeah.
So we have to be real careful as far as the overflow from that, from the construction sites and stuff coming in.
Yeah.
And then there's also one concern on the Tallapoosa River. although it hasn't been a problem right now. But upstream of us in our watershed, particularly above Horseshoe Bend, as you go on up toward Badawi and above there, are a lot of chicken houses. So we're concerned about that because they're pretty close to the water.
Yeah.
And they're following their guidelines set up. The Alabama Department of Environmental Management watches them pretty closely. But that's one thing that Lake Watch does is we test the water, and then we do water quality tests. And if we identify any areas that might be of concern to us, then we look at it, we try to find the source of that, and then we can take care of it. Some other things would be, particularly on the lake area, not right here, but on the lake, there are a lot of homes that come down right to the lake. So a lot of people like to have nice green yards and lawns. So a lot of people have a tendency to over-fertilize. And then we get a big rain, and that fertilizer will flow right into the lake. So we have to watch that. A lot of people don't have city water or city sewage, so a lot of people have septic tanks. And we have to keep a watch on that so that the septic tanks don't leak into the water as well. Then point source pollution would be like water treatment plants. Sometimes if they're not up to standard, they might overflow when big rains come. Then you might have sewage that goes into the lake. And that's a big concern, particularly like if you live in Elliott City. We're very close to the Tallapoosa River, or to the lake, about 100 yards. And then about a mile up is where the Tallapoosa River flows in. And then about another mile from there is where the Adams Water Treatment Facility is. And that's where Alexander City gets all of their water from. Pumped right out of the river, right out of the lake, and that's what they treat it and get their water from. Here at camp, we have, I think we're a little luckier because we're on well water. And we get that nice cold well water, and Jeff takes care of that for us and treats it so it comes down. We pump it up to the water tower and back down. And I think that's some of the best water you could get. So we also have to be real careful to take care of that we don't have gas spills above that go into the water table and then pollute our water that way. So overall, I would say we've had a good, successful day. We found a lot of neat things. And I would say that we have good water quality, and we want to keep it that way and do what we can to keep it so we have good water to drink and good water to recreate in and good water to enjoy. You guys did a good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Mm-hmm.